Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Because this is a longer lecture, I decided to split it up into two parts. And when I asked you and when I reviewed your feedback from last semester, a lot of you preferred to take notes on a video. This allows you a little bit more time since I know I sometimes go a little bit too fast. So as you know, you will have accessed this video on Canvas. It'll be there all weekend. You can also see the slides on your own on Canvas as well. You are going to sketch note right underneath your sketch notes from Tuesday, Wednesday's lecture, and the first part of class today. You will take a picture of your sketch notes and you will upload them to Canvas by Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. Because it's a long weekend, I just decided to make it do for everyone at the same time. Okay, I apologize in advance for any weird glitches. And here we go. Okay, so we have already reviewed two of the long-term causes of World War II. We're going to finish up with the other two causes of World War II once this loads. Here we go. Okay, so we know that the failure of the Treaty of Versailles was a cause. I don't know why the arrows are doing this. The rise of fascism was a cause. We've studied those already. And today, or the second part of the lecture, we're going to look at appeasement policy and the invasion of Poland. All of those led to what we now know as World War II. So if you're sketchnoting, you might want to think about moving towards this part of your sketch notes. Okay. Our last objective is I will be able to explain what appeasement is and predict why it may be a failure. So if you do not remember what appeasement is, you might want to pause the video, go back and look at your vocab section, or go back and look at your early notes from Tuesday and Wednesday to see what is appeasement. Thinking that appeasement sounds like the word appease, meaning it is to pacify or to please someone in effort to give them what they want, with the larger goal, in this case, of avoiding war. So we're going to see how Britain and France, but particularly Britain, applied the appeasement policy to Hitler to allow him to get away with everything in order to avoid war. And of course, the irony is it caused war anyway. So, cause number 3, appeasement policy. So if we take a look here, we can look at German aggression prior to World War II. As you can see, let me just move my face a little. This is German aggression 1936 to 1939. Yep, that's the bell, first period. Okay, so Germany is here in purple. We see the Rhineland here, which is on the border of France and Belgium and Switzerland, which was denied to the Germans in the Treaty of Versailles and then was remilitarized in 1936. But then they kept going. Germany then decided to take over Austria and Czechoslovakia. Okay, and eventually Germany, as we know, will take over Poland. So just to give you a sense of where we are at. Come on. So now we have something. Oops, sorry, skipped a slide. Now we have something known as the Munich Agreement of 1938. So I would label your notes under the appeasement, or however you're doing it, with the Munich Agreement of 1938. 1938, was the year that the fate of the Czechoslovakians was sealed. The Munich Agreement, signed in Germany, you can see Hitler here with Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of England, gave him control of Sudetenland, where 3 million ethnic Germans live. So if we go back just a slide, just to see, give me 1 second. Oh, there I am. I'm back, just in case you missed me. Okay, so what happened was that Hitler was able to take control of Sudetenland, which is right here. Sudetenland was home to 3 million Germans, and he also was able to get 66% of their coal, 70% of their iron and steel, and 70% of their electrical power. This was the beginning of the end for Czechoslovakia because, as you can imagine, he did not stop at Sudetenland. All right, so let's move through. So the Munich Pact is 1938, and 1 year after that pact, Hitler invades Poland. This is a Polish city after the German bombing in 1939. Wait, what? How did this happen? How did we get from let's try to avoid war to Hitler completely violating all of the different terms? Let's remember this idea of appeasement. This was the idea of letting Germany occupy areas lost by the Treaty of Versailles. So we're talking the Rhineland, we're talking Czechoslovakia, we're talking renewing their alliance with Austria. Okay? At this Munich conference, Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of England, and Daladier, the head of France, the President of France, allowed him to do this. I'm going to move my own face. Allowed Hitler to do this to promote peace and avoid war. So I'll say that again. At this Munich conference, which took place in Munich, Germany, Britain and France signed an agreement, physically signed an agreement that said, okay, Hitler, you can keep the Rhineland, you can keep Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia, you can even continue your control of Austria. But please, that's it. No more. Okay? No more. So let's take a look. Oh, sorry, I have somebody at my door, but I think they went away. Okay. So I want to take a look at this image really fast. Oops. And I want you to pause the video and try to answer these. Just give it a try. I'm going to give you the answers in the next slide. Okay, so here we go. Who are the men bending over? Well, let's look here where it says spineless leaders of democracy. So we have this idea of democracy where we know that people come together, they vote for their leader, and then you think of somebody who is spineless, somebody who lacks courage, somebody who lacks guts, somebody who lets people or someone walk all over them, take advantage of. So who are the men bending over? The leaders of Britain, France, and other democratic countries. What is Hitler doing? Well, I would say he is walking on their backs, taking advantage of them, walking all over them, and I would say he is marching right towards war. What goals can this connect to? Well, if we think back to our lecture from earlier today, this can connect to more living space, restoring German pride, and likely rearmament, meaning continuing to build up his army. Why might Hitler be taking these risks? Well, has anybody stopped him so far? No, I don't think so. I'm going to move this up just to make sure you can see. There we go. Because up until this point, no one is stopping him and they want to avoid another war. I'm going to pause this for a second and come back and finish recording after my meeting, just in case you are all curious. Okay, false alarm. I do not have my meeting for another 30 minutes. Amazing. I think I can finish this. So here I am. I'm back. Okay, let's keep going. If the mouse will let me go. So now we're going to watch a video on Neville Chamberlain. Okay, this video is unavailable, meaning I'm going to have to find it online and come back. But I want you to be thinking about what is Chamberlain's goals? What is the reaction of Chamberlain? Why do you think that is? Do you think he's too naive, too optimistic, too hopeful? And what risk is Chamberlain taking in trying to achieve his goal? Give me 1 second while I find this. Okay, we are back. I found the video. Let's watch. Okay, let's not watch as I figure this out again. Okay, so I was unable to load the video on the slide. So if you go back to the assignment on Canvas, I linked it on there and it says video on Chamberlain. So please watch that on your own and then answer the questions there. Okay, thanks so much. Let's move on. So, what is America doing? I'm going to go back into full screen mode. Everything takes a little bit longer with this. Let's see. I'll put the webcam on so you can see my face again, just in case you forgot what I look like. Okay, so this is the part where I awkwardly tell a joke. Okay, so what's America doing? Well, they are minding their own business. The US has the Great Depression going on. They are too worried about themselves to worry about Japan, Germany, or Italy. And they are practicing what I've spoken about already, a policy known as isolationism or non interventionism. These are political rulers, and I would write this down if I highlighted it, should avoid entangling alliances with other nations and avoid all wars. This was the United States foreign policy from the end of World War I in 1918 until the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. I really love this image here. We can see that we have Uncle Sam is saying, what a lucky thing we've got separate beds. Ho hum, no chance of contagion here, as Europe is suffering from Nazi fever, fascist fever, Hitleritis, so on and so forth. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video. I want you to look back at your notes, and I want you to label it check for understanding. And underneath that, I want you to write what were Chamberlain's goals before the war? What were the United States goals before the war? See you soon. Now, I want you to predict. Let's think about that idea of risk we've been talking about throughout this unit, specifically with regards to the leaders. What risk is Chamberlain taking? Remember, Chamberlain is the Prime Minister of England. He is the one that signed the Munich Pact, allowing Hitler to continue to take over the land he's already taken over. What risk is Chamberlain taking to achieve his goals? Come up with two. Okay. I'm now going to have you pause again and make sure you have a moment to sketch notes the notes we have taken so far. You also just might want to take a moment and sketch note the notes from Tuesday, Wednesday on the 4 causes, or from the beginning of class today on the first 2 causes. Cool. See you soon. All right. Now, for the next part of the lecture, I'm going to show you 4 images. Your job is to determine which cause connects to which of the 3 causes we have learned about so far. Ha, I see an error. There's only 3 images. You can work in partners if you and your partner are at the same place, or you can do it individually. I just ask that you label it image analysis. So I'll show you the first one. And I want you to answer all of the questions for each image. Image number 1, what objects do you see? Image question 2, what actions do you see? So physically, what do you see? Do you see somebody moving? Objects is just, I see paper, I see Versailles Treaty. What might the symbolism be of the objects and the actions? So for example, what might the symbolism be of this Versailles Treaty here? What might the symbolism be of Hitler crawling out of it? What cause might this be? You can forget about the long term. And then I want you to make a prediction. How could this lead to another war? So for the second image, you see same kind of thing. What objects do you see? What actions, like anything moving? The symbolism of the objects and the actions. Which cause might this connect to? And then a prediction of how this could lead to another world war. Please note this is Neville Chamberlain. And the last one, same thing. Sorry about my spelling error. I will change that now. Once you are done that, you can pause the video as you work on it individually or in partners. Please don't forget to label it image analysis so I know that you've completed it. Okay, and for our final segment of our lecture, we're going to learn about the last cause, the invasion of Poland. So we know that the invasion of Poland happened on September 1st, 1939, and that was the spark that ignited the war. So if we think about the spark from World War I, the spark from World War I was the assassination of the Archduke, which then led to what was known as a domino effect. Something very similar happened in World War II. So we are now at our last objective. I know I said the last one was the last one. I was kidding. This is the last one. I will be able to explain how World War II started. Okay, so let's take a look. Setting the stage for the war, keeping track of all the moving pieces. We're going to see now the major players from the war. You can see here the different countries, the different leaders, and the type of government they had. What's something interesting to note is that these very different types of government were also part of the reason why war started. A lot of them had very different ideologies and motives, which led to the clash. Moving right along. So this is the part that you might want to write down. On the Allied side was the United States, Great Britain, France, the USSR, which is also known as the Soviet Union, and China. If you're confused why the USSR is on the side of Great Britain and France, that would make sense because if we recall from earlier this class, we learned that the Soviet Union, or the USSR, sided with Germany. As it turns out, Germany broke that pact, as we know, and the USSR switched sides. In fact, Stalin was a huge help to the United States and to the Allies in defeating Hitler. So that's the first side. The second side was known as the Axis powers. This was Germany, Italy, and Japan. I always think this is interesting. This just shows you just how many countries participated in the war. So all of these countries, we can see a lot of countries in Northern Africa, a lot of countries in Central and South America, all participated. That could mean sending troops, that could mean sending supplies, that could mean a bunch of different things. And then we see these other countries that competed for the Axis power. Countries that remained neutral: Ireland, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland. If you're interested, Spain had its own civil war going on at the beginning of or right before World War II, so they were a little busy. They were fighting against the leader, Franco. Okay, so in your notes, we want to write that Germany invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939. And right now, we're going to watch a video clip on this. You do not need to answer any of questions. We are just watching. Let's make sure that we can hear this. Oh, for the love. Okay. Looks like I'm going to have to post that video as well since the internet at school is not participating today. I will link this video on Canvas as well. Okay, so World War II has begun. September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland. Hitler believed that England and all of her allies would eventually make peace with Germany once they saw that resisting Germany and resisting their what was known as the Blitzkrieg, where they bombed cities to oblivion, was futile. There was no point. And they did not, right? So Britain and France declared war on Germany shortly thereafter. Russia at this point is remaining completely neutral. Remember, they do have that pact, but Hitler at some point said something to the effect of, even if I signed a deal with Stalin, I would just end up breaking it. I can't help it. And as we know, America just watches. And if we look over here to the light blue and the pink, these are all Eastern Europe: Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, the Baltic states. These poor countries, these poor souls, ultimately just traded Hitler for Stalin. And the amount of lives lost in this area, this pink and blue area, is often very underlooked at war. So that's something to keep in mind. And the fate of these countries was sealed at the beginning of World War II, but many of these countries then later on went to be under the control of the Soviet Union up until the early 90s, where hundreds of thousands of people died. Okay. So let's take a look here at what happened. October 1936, the Atlas powers were created, right? That we remember is Italy, Germany, Japan. Between September and October of 1939, Germany attacks and conquers Poland. Later that month, Germany and the Soviet Union split up Poland. Later, Russia also gains Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. That's what I was talking about earlier with regards to these Eastern European countries who were under the control of first Hitler and then Stalin. Let's take a look here at what happened next. Germany will eventually conquer, are we ready? Egypt, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Poland, Yugoslavia, Greece, and parts of Russia, even though they claimed that they would never invade there. So we could see Germany was off to quite the start at the beginning of the war. I love this video as I think it's very fascinating as to how quickly the Axis powers gain power, and then you'll see what happens as the war goes on. Okay, it appears this video is working, so we will watch part of it. If you'd like, I can link it on my Canvas so you can see the rest. Just so you know, the red is the Axis powers. You will see them gaining more and more land at the beginning of war. Watch what happens to the green and to the blue. Nope, here we go again with the video issues. I swore I just played this. I'm going to move ahead a little bit anyway. Kind of seeing here, they gained more and more land. Let's see if this works. Okay, we're having the same issues, so I will post this on Canvas so you can see it as well. My apologies, the school internet is terrible, as you all know. The last slide, the last thing I want you to note is that Hitler unleashes something known as Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war. This was very popular throughout the entire war, okay? The goal of Blitzkrieg was to completely disorient the enemy through unpredictable attacks. I mean, you can see what happened here in London, okay? Again, this was often a surprise attack, and it was very quick. It would often include the planes flying over the cities and bombing them, and then having tanks and humans, mobilized infantry on the ground. It happened quickly, and it happened by surprise. Its goal, to catch people off guard, and to create complete chaos. This was a very effective strategy by Hitler early in the war. And we're going to learn next week about how strong the German Air Force was. We could see here in the pictures just how bad the destruction of Blitzkrieg was. Okay, that's it for me. Again, I really apologize about the technical difficulties with the internet. Don't forget to go back and watch those 3 videos. Now, if you're finished, you can go back to the earlier slides to finish your sketch notes. Don't forget to submit them to my Canvas by Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. The assignment's on there, the rubric is on there, and the instructions for how to do it are there. Don't hesitate to send me an email if you're absent. Thanks for listening.